This woman named Rachel thought she could have it all. A devoted boyfriend waiting at home while she explored what instead, within 24 hours, she found herself locked out of her own apartment, her belongings in boxes, and her phone number blocked. What she thought would be a simple conversation about needing space turned into the biggest mistake of her life. I'm Emma, and this is Mrs. Emma, where I bring you real stories about love, loss, and the lessons we learn when it's too late. This is Rachel's story, and trust me, you'll want to hear every word. Rachel was 27 when her world came crashing down. But to understand how she lost everything, we need to go back to where it all began. 3 years earlier, Rachel met Daniel at a friend's birthday party. It wasn't love at first sight exactly, but something close. They spent the entire evening talking, laughing, finishing each other's thoughts. By the end of the night, they'd exchanged numbers and made plans for dinner that same week. Their relationship moved fast. Too fast, some might say. Within 8 weeks, Rachel had practically moved into Daniel's place. By the time their 6-month anniversary rolled around, they signed a lease together on a cozy apartment in the heart of the city. Life was beautiful. Rachel loved their daily rhythm. Morning coffee shared in comfortable silence. Text messages exchanged throughout busy work days. Evenings spent cooking together or curled up on the couch watching their favorite shows. They were the couple everyone admired. The kind of relationship that made single friends jealous and coupled friends nostalgic for their early days. Rachel's social media reflected this happiness. Pictures of them at weekend farmers markets, hiking trails with stunning views, concert selfies with matching smiles. She captioned these photos with heart emojis and inside jokes. Her comment sections filled with envious responses about relationship goals. For almost 3 years, Rachel believed she had won at life. She had found her person. She had built a home. She had created the kind of stable, loving partnership that so many people searched for and never found. But then something shifted. It started with Sarah, Rachel's closest friend since their college days. Sarah had always been the adventurous one, the friend who dated freely and lived spontaneously. During their weekly coffee dates, Sarah began dropping comments that wormed their way into Rachel's mind. "Don't you ever wonder what you're missing?" Sarah asked one afternoon, stirring her latte absently. "I mean, you're only 27. Most people our age are still figuring things out." Rachel laughed it off at first. "I'm happy. Why would I wonder about anything else?" But Sarah persisted. "I'm not saying you're not happy. I'm just saying you've only been with, 4 guys total? How do you know Daniel's the best match if you haven't really explored your options?" These conversations happened more frequently. During girls' nights with Sarah and their friends Lisa and Emma, the topic always circled back to Rachel's relationship. While Sarah swiped through dating apps matching with attractive strangers, while Lisa shared stories about spontaneous weekend trips with new boyfriends, Rachel found herself thinking about the pile of Daniel's laundry waiting to be folded at home. Social media made it worse. Every scroll revealed another friend living what seemed like an exciting, unpredictable life. Meanwhile, Rachel's biggest decision of the week was whether to order Thai food or pizza for dinner. Again. She started noticing things about Daniel that irritated her. Small things that had never bothered her before. The way he hummed while brushing his teeth. How he always suggested the same 3 restaurants for date night. His predictable schedule that never varied. The comfort that had once felt like security now felt like a cage. "You know what my therapist told me?" Lisa said during one particularly wine-fueled girls' night. "She said you can't truly choose someone until you know what else is out there. Otherwise, you're just settling for what's familiar." "Exactly," Sarah jumped in. "It's like buying the first car you test drive. You might like it, but how do you know it's the best option?" Rachel found herself nodding along, a dangerous seed of doubt taking root. Daniel noticed the change before Rachel fully acknowledged it herself. "You seem distracted lately," he mentioned one evening while they prepared dinner together. "Is everything all right with us?" "Everything's fine," Rachel assured him, but even she could hear the lack of conviction in her voice. She started staying out later with Sarah and the others, coming home well past midnight, sometimes with alcohol on her breath and vague explanations about where they'd been. She became protective of her phone, angling the screen away when messages came through. The turning point came on a random Tuesday afternoon. Daniel arrived home early from work and found travel brochures scattered across their coffee table. Solo travel packages to exotic destinations, adventure tours for single travelers. "Planning a trip?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. Rachel looked up, caught off guard. Oh, those. I was just browsing, daydreaming, really. But Daniel's expression told her he understood what she wouldn't say. These weren't brochures for couples getaways. These were escape routes. That night, he sat down across from her at their small dining table. His hands were clasped together, and his eyes held a seriousness that made Rachel's stomach drop. We need to talk, he said simply. And I need you to be honest with me. Are you unhappy? Do you want to leave? Rachel's heart raced. This was it. The moment she'd been both dreading and anticipating. She took a deep breath and decided to tell him the truth. Or at least her version of it. I love you, Rachel began, and she meant it. You have to know that. But I've been thinking about us, about our future, and I feel like maybe I need to explore a bit more before we take the next step. Daniel's face shifted from concern to confusion. Explore? Rachel, we live together. We've been together for 3 years. We've talked about engagement. What next step are you referring to? That's exactly it, Rachel tried to explain. We've been in this bubble, and it's been wonderful. But sometimes I wonder if I'm missing out on experiences that I should have before fully settling down. Experiences. Daniel repeated the word slowly. What kind of experiences? Rachel hesitated. Just life experiences. My friends are out there dating, meeting new people, having adventures, and I'm here arguing with you about whose turn it is to clean the bathroom. Daniel leaned back in his chair. So, your friends, the ones who can't maintain a relationship longer than a Netflix subscription, are making you question what we have. Don't dismiss them like that, Rachel snapped. They're living differently, and maybe I should have done more of that before committing to someone. The air in the room grew heavy. Daniel stared at her with an expression she'd never seen before, something between hurt and disbelief. Let me make sure I understand, he said slowly. You want to date other people while we're together? Not exactly dating, Rachel backpedaled. More like an open arrangement, temporarily. Just so I can be sure we're right for each other without always wondering what else is out there. Daniel laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want me to wait at home while you test drive other relationships, and then if none of them work out, you'll come back and we'll continue like nothing happened? You could see other people too, Rachel offered, though the words tasted bitter. It would be fair for both of us. I don't want other people, Daniel said, his voice rising. I thought you didn't either. I thought we were building something real here. We are, Rachel insisted. This is about making sure it's real, about eliminating doubt so we can fully commit later. Daniel stood up abruptly. There's no we in what you're describing, Rachel. This is about you wanting to sleep with other people without losing your safety net, without losing this apartment, this relationship, this comfortable life we've built. The accusation stung because it held truth. You're not a safety net, Rachel argued. You're the person I want to be with. I just need to be certain. And how do you plan for this to work? Daniel asked. You date other people but come home to me every night? We still share a bed while you're exploring your options? Rachel hadn't thought that far ahead. We could still live together. Nothing major has to change except everything, Daniel finished. If you want to be single and explore, then be completely single. I'm not going to sit here and watch you date other people while pretending we're still in a relationship. The conversation spiraled. Accusations flew. Rachel said he was being controlling and closed-minded. Daniel said she was selfish and delusional. Both said things they could never take back. Finally, Rachel grabbed her purse. Fine. I'll stay with Sarah for a few days until you calm down and we can discuss this rationally. Don't expect things to be the same when you decide to come back, Daniel called after her. You'll realize I'm being reasonable once you think it through, Rachel shot back, slamming the door behind her. She was convinced Daniel would cool off, see her perspective, and they'd work something out. She had no idea she'd never sleep in that apartment again. Sarah's couch was uncomfortable, but Rachel told herself it was temporary. Daniel just needed time to process. He'd come around. By day 3, Sarah's enthusiasm for hosting had evaporated. So how long are you planning to stay? She asked, stepping over Rachel's makeshift bedding. Just until Daniel stops being dramatic, Rachel said, checking her phone for the 100th time. No messages, no calls, nothing. You guys broke up though, right? Sarah pressed. Shouldn't you be looking for your own place? We didn't break up, Rachel insisted. We're just figuring things out. But by day 4, Sarah had plans with a new guy and made it clear Rachel needed to be elsewhere for the evening. Rachel tried calling Lisa and Emma. Both had convenient excuses about why she couldn't stay with them. Fine, Rachel told Sarah. I'll go home. Daniel's had enough time to think. That afternoon, Rachel took a rideshare back to the apartment. She'd rehearsed her apology, planned her compromise. She'd be understanding. She'd be patient. She just needed to get through the door. Her key didn't work. Rachel tried again, jiggling it the way she always had to with their temperamental lock. Nothing. She tried a third time, then a fourth. The key wouldn't even slide into the mechanism properly. After 20 minutes of trying, their neighbor Mrs. Patterson opened her door. He's not home, dear, she said kindly. Left for work this morning. My key isn't working, Rachel explained, panic creeping into her voice. Mrs. Patterson gave her a pitying look. I saw the locksmith here yesterday. New locks. I assumed you knew. Rachel's legs went weak. She sank down against the door, her door, and tried to process what this meant. Daniel had changed the locks. He'd actually locked her out of her own home. She called him repeatedly. On the 6th attempt, he finally answered. What do you want, Rachel? His voice was ice. My key doesn't work, she said, trying to stay calm. Did you change the locks? Yes. One word, no explanation, no apology. That's illegal, Rachel said, her voice rising. My name is on the lease, too. I spoke with the landlord, Daniel replied flatly. I'm taking over the lease completely. Your name is being removed. You have until Saturday between 2 and 4 to collect your belongings. I'll be out during that time. You can't just decide that, Rachel shouted into the phone. Where am I supposed to go? All my stuff is in there. You should have considered that before you told me you needed to explore other options, Daniel said, his voice finally showing emotion. Anger, hurt, bitterness. You wanted freedom? Congratulations, you have it. He hung up. Rachel sat in that hallway for an hour, crying, until building security asked her to leave. The next 2 weeks were a nightmare. Rachel bounced between friends' couches, each stay shorter than the last. Her friends, the same ones who had encouraged her to seek more experiences, now avoided her. They had guys to entertain, lives to live, and hosting a heartbroken friend wasn't part of their plans. Can't you just get your own place? Lisa asked after 2 nights. Rachel finally found a tiny studio apartment she could barely afford. It was a third of the size of what she'd shared with Daniel, in a neighborhood she didn't like, but it was all she could manage. 2 weeks after the lockout, Rachel worked up the courage to return to the apartment during the designated time to collect her remaining things. When Daniel opened the door, he looked different. Better, somehow. Had he always been that handsome? The apartment looked different too. Her carefully chosen decorations were gone. New artwork hung on the walls. Even the throw pillows she'd spent hours selecting had been replaced. I boxed up everything, Daniel said, gesturing to neat cardboard boxes by the door. Take your time. Daniel, wait, Rachel said before he could leave. Can we please talk? He turned, his expression guarded. About what? About us. About what happened. I know I hurt you, and I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking clearly. Sarah and the others got in my head with all this fear of missing out, and I panicked. So it's your friend's fault now? Daniel raised an eyebrow. No, it's my fault for listening, Rachel corrected quickly. Daniel, I made a terrible mistake. I never actually wanted anyone else. I was just scared of commitment. For a moment, his expression softened, and hope bloomed in Rachel's chest. But then they heard the front door open. Rachel turned to see a woman walk in carrying grocery bags. She was beautiful, with dark curly hair and an easy smile. When she saw Rachel, she stopped. Oh, I'm sorry, the woman said. I didn't realize you'd be here. I can come back. No, it's fine, Jade, Daniel said, his voice warm in a way it hadn't been with Rachel. Rachel was just getting her things. Jade. He'd given her a key. This stranger had access to what used to be Rachel's home. "How long has this been going on?" Rachel demanded. "Were you seeing her while we were together?" "We didn't break up, remember?" Daniel said coldly. "You wanted to explore more? And no, I met Jade at my creative writing class, the one I started 2 months ago that you never once asked me about." The words hit like a physical blow. Rachel had been so wrapped up in her own dissatisfaction that she hadn't noticed Daniel building a new life. "I made a mistake," Rachel whispered. "People make mistakes. You can't throw away 3 years over one conversation." "It wasn't one conversation," Daniel said quietly. "It was realizing that while I was planning our future, you were wondering what you were missing. That changes everything." Rachel watched as Jade unpacked groceries, moving around the kitchen like she belonged there. She was wearing one of Daniel's shirts, the blue one Rachel used to steal. "I still love you," Rachel said, playing her last card. Daniel looked at her for a long moment. Then his eyes shifted to Jade and his expression changed. "I loved you too," he said finally. Past tense. "Please take your things and go." 6 months passed like a slow torture. Rachel's studio apartment never felt like home. Her job performance suffered, leading to a demotion and a pay cut. The exciting experiences she'd been so eager to have turned out to be a series of disappointing dates with men who ghosted her after one night. Meanwhile, through social media and mutual friends, Rachel watched Daniel thrive. He and Jade were officially a couple, traveling to places Rachel had only dreamed about. He got the promotion he'd been working toward. He looked happier than Rachel had ever seen him. Her friend group fractured. Sarah still talked to her occasionally, but Lisa and Emma had drifted away. Rachel later discovered they'd stayed friends with Daniel, even hung out with him and Jade sometimes. The final blow came on a random Tuesday morning. Sarah called, her voice hesitant. "Don't shoot the messenger," she said, "but I thought you should hear this from me. Daniel proposed to Jade last weekend." Rachel's world tilted. "What? They've only been together 6 months." "When you know," Sarah said softly. "Apparently, he's never been more certain about anything." That night, alone in her cramped apartment, Rachel scrolled through old photos of her and Daniel. Pictures of them laughing, holding hands, building the life she'd thrown away. She typed and deleted a dozen messages. "Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I hate you. I miss you." None of them felt right. None of them would change anything. She remembered something Daniel had once said about her, about them. "I've never been more sure of anything." He'd said those exact words about her once. Now he was saying them about someone else. Rachel had thrown away everything. A loving partner, a beautiful home, a future together. And for what? For the fear of missing out on experiences that turned out to be empty and meaningless. She'd wanted freedom to explore. Instead, she'd learned the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes what you're searching for is exactly what you already have. And sometimes by the time you realize it, it's already gone. Rachel's story is a powerful reminder about the danger of taking what we have for granted. She let outside voices drown out her own happiness. She confused stability with stagnation, and she learned too late that real love isn't about keeping your options open. It's about choosing someone every single day and being grateful they choose you back. If this story resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Mrs. Emma so you never miss another story about love, loss, and the lessons that change us forever. I'm Emma, and I'll see you in the next story. Until then, appreciate what you have before it becomes what you had.